the topic that I'm going to teach you today is the story of virus. Yes, it is the virus who has trapped all of us into their homes nowadays. And let's talk about this virus now. I will first discuss about the origin of this word. This word, the virus, it is a Latin word. The virus is a Latin word, and the meaning of this word is slimy liquid poison. Yes, this name itself describes that this particular creature is a very dangerous thing. Okay, now let's talk about the size of this virus. This virus is extremely small that you cannot observe this virus with the compound microscope. You can only observe this virus under the electron microscope. Now you may ask me, what is the compound microscope? The compound microscope is the same microscope that you observe in your laboratory. Now what is electron microscope? Electron microscope magnifies the thing to a large extent. Say for example, if I talk about this pen, if I observe this pen under the electron microscope, this pen will look like a giant. Okay, so we can observe virus under such magnification, and this can be done by using electron microscope. Now let's talk about the structure of this virus. The virus has the simplest structure. What is there in this structure? It is the head of the virus, that is also called as the coat of the virus, and this is the tail of the virus. Okay, and why it is called as a coat of the virus? Because it covers its genetic material. Okay, and that genetic material may be DNA or RNA. The full form of DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, and full form of RNA is ribonucleic acid. Okay, and what is the function of this genetic material? It passes on from one generation to another generation and responsible for the characteristic of that particular organism. Okay, now from here only we have got the clue for the type of viruses. The virus is classified basically into two types. It is DNA virus or RNA virus. If the structure, if the genetic material of the virus is DNA, then it is called as DNA virus. And if the genetic material is RNA, then it is called as RNA virus. It is very simple. Okay. Now the next tricky thing is what? The classification of virus. What is classification? First, let's understand this thing. Classification is the grouping of something into different groups. Say for example, there is a group of students and I will classify them into students of class 6th and students of class 7th. Okay. Similarly, if I ask you to classify anything, the first classification that you are going to use is what? Living and non-living. But this virus exists at the boundary. Here is the virus. It is neither living nor it is non-living. Why it is said like this? Because sometimes it behaves like a living and sometimes it behaves like a non-living. So let's understand this thing, how it does this thing. So let's talk about the life cycle of virus. So the life cycle of the virus is, to understand this thing. Yes, let me first tell you the host range of the virus. What do you mean by host range? The very simple thing, the cells that can be infected by the virus. So virus can infect animal cell, virus can infect plant cell, and it can even infect bacteria. Okay, and the virus that infect bacteria are called as bacteriophage. Okay, And the virus, the rest is very simple. Virus that infect animal cell are called as animal virus, and that infect plant cell are called as plant virus. So let's talk about the bacteriophage now, because it is very simple to understand. Okay. So here I am explaining the life cycle of this virus. Life cycle means how it makes its own copies, and why it is said that virus is there at the boundary of living and non-living. Okay, so let's take, these are 3 bacterial cells, 1, 2, and 3, and these 3 bacterial cells are friends of each other. Okay, and the 1, 2, 3 bacterial cells are living happily, but at the same time, what happened? This virus, an attacker came here. Okay, and let's assume right now it is a DNA virus. So I will show the DNA of virus with vDNA. Okay, yes, this virus is attacking the bacteria. Okay, it has attached onto the bacterial cell. This is the bacterial DNA. From now onwards, I will represent it with vDNA. Okay. Now, as soon as this virus attaches onto the bacteria, it injects its DNA. This is vDNA into the bacteria. And one more thing it does, it hijacks this bacterial cell. What is the meaning of this thing? It will use all the enzymes, all the machinery, all the system of this bacteria for its own growth. Okay. Now this virus is going to make a lot of copies inside the bacterial cell. This is what? This is vDNA. And this is what? This is vDNA, viral DNA. Now inside the bacterial cell, many copies of the virus will be formed. Okay, and this bacteria will be filled with the virus. And what will happen when you fill excess air into a balloon? What happens? The balloon bursts. In the same way, this bacterial cell is filled with many viruses. And what will happen? This cell will burst. Or we can say this cell is dead now. Oh, the virus has attacked the cell and killed the cell. Now this cell number 2 and 3 has observed that, oh, their friend is died. So now they asked, who did this thing? Then the virus replied, how can I? I am a simple virus. I am a non-living. I can't do this thing. Oh, so it is playing this game. As soon as it is out of the cell, it is non-living. And when it is inside the cell, this virus is living. That is why it is called, it is said that the virus is present at the boundary of living and non-living. Okay, so it will again play its game. It will infect the cell number, the bacterial cell 2. It will kill this cell, make its own copies, and come back, and again it will be like a non-living. Okay, so in this way, this virus kills the cell onto which it attacks. Okay, so just to conclude about this, the characteristic of the virus, what exactly I will say: virus is the smallest, simplest, but still it is the smartest creature present on the earth. That's all about the virus. I hope you liked it.